Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and ting and ting and ting. Back with some more vibes for you, and another one that was recommended to me, and just the title alone make me want to go. I'm Mr. Giant, man, you know what I mean? And this one says, when Britain nuked America twice. And I'm like, what? How come I ain't hearing about that? What go on with that there thing, you know what I mean? So, when somebody sent it to me and recommended that I watch it, I was like, well, I don't know what to expect, but let's get into it to see what really go on here. Let's YouTube and simmer. Twice.
In the 1960s, Great Britain nuked the United States not once, but twice.
What? Let's see what go on here.
For all concerned, the attacks were only training exercises, but so embarrassing were these attacks that they were hidden from the American public for about 50 years, as well as being strenuously denied to the American press for decades. As far as America was concerned, its defences were 99% effective, but in simulated attacks, Royal Air Force bombers managed to penetrate US airspace to launch nuclear attacks on New York City and several other important urban centres. Before I tell you how, a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service created by the founder of the Discovery Channel that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals, like Adolf Hitler, The Itinerary, an immense study of Hitler's movements from childhood to the end of his life, and D-Day, Hidden Traces, that uses archaeology to uncover what was left behind in Normandy by Allied and Axis
Okay, I'm gonna
troops.
skip this here.
Helmet, the British managed to penetrate the world's most heavily defended airspace. The answer is surprisingly simple and consists of two words: Avro Vulcan.
Huh? Alvo Vulcan? Oh, that noise, man. Heard that
The
a
Vulcan
lot.
first flew in 1952. The team that created it, led by Roy Chadwick, who had designed the famous Lancaster heavy bomber of World War II. A jet-powered, tailless, delta-wing, high-altitude strategic bomber, the Vulcan was the backbone of Britain's nuclear airborne deterrent during most of the Cold War, serving from 1956 until retirement in 1984. This is the story of Exercise Sky Shield, when Britain nuked its closest ally, exposing how the Soviet Union could have done the same for real.
Wow.
In 1960, the
That's
United
kinda
States
scary.
decided to run the largest test of its air defences in history. Exercise Sky Shield 1 occurred on the 10th of September 1960, and all commercial air traffic over the US and Canada was grounded, amounting to 1,000 US commercial flights and 700 general aviation aircraft, plus a further 31 foreign flights due to land in North America.
Wow.
The US Strategic Air Command would launch B-52 Stratofortresses and B-47 Stratojets to simulate a massive Soviet nuclear bomber force approaching North America from north and south. 360 US interceptor aircraft stood ready to defeat these enemy aircraft, which numbered 310. Among those 310 aircraft were 8 Royal Air Force Vulcan B-2 nuclear bombers. A flight of 4 flew from Scotland, while the other 4 launched from the British territory of Bermuda in the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, wow.
The American plan was to detect these enemy bombers by radar and other early warning systems. Then they would be intercepted and destroyed in simulated attacks by US jet fighters and missile batteries. The attacking bombers split their attacks between high and low altitude. The defending fighters did very well against the Stratojets and Stratofortresses, intercepting many of them, but the Vulcans proved more elusive opponents. The Vulcan flew at the highest altitude
Royal
of
Air
simulated
Force
Soviet
in
bombers,
action.
cruising at 56,000 feet. One was successfully intercepted at this altitude over Goose Bay, Labrador, by a United States Air Force F-101 Voodoo. But the other 7 Vulcans all managed to penetrate American airspace to launch simulated bombing attacks on US cities. They then turned around and landed at Stephenville, Newfoundland.
Man, that
The
sound.
question was, how had the Vulcan managed it? The answer was their highly advanced electronic countermeasures systems and the Vulcan's amazing maneuverability. For example, the flight of 4 aircraft that approached from Bermuda were successful because 3 of them put up a wall of electronic interference that prevented interception, while the 4th Vulcan carried out a simulated nuclear strike. This was all rather embarrassing for Strategic Air Command, which quickly buried all stories about British bombers having nuked US targets and confidently assured the American public that US air defenses were, as I said, 99% effective.
You see,
However,
you hear stuff like that and you wonder, all over the world, how much are they telling us? Of course, too, that could lead to conspiracy theories, which is just as unhealthy as the real thing, you know what I mean? Governments tend to hide stuff from people, and that's why people start coming up with these crazy theories and all of that. But I didn't know about this. But of course, too, I'm on a little island on the beach swimming, dancing to a little calypso thing. But wow.
the following year, the Americans invited the RAF to take part in Exercise Sky Shield 2. Perhaps the US AF was determined to show that the Vulcan's previous success was only a fluke, a one-time only event. Sky Shield 2, which occurred on the 14th of August 1961, was an even bigger event than the first one. It caused 2,900 US and Canadian flights to be grounded, affecting 125,000 commercial passengers.
Wow.
During the exercise, 125 US and British bombers would be pitted.
But how did they keep that secret with that massive interference with commercial flights and stuff like that? How do they? I wonder what explanation they use to tell the people, why the planes aren't moving,
Against 1,800 fighters and 250 missile sites, and over 200,000 Air Force personnel from the US and Canada.
Coming up on 16.5 seconds. Now, continuing. Ready. Now. 365 fuel. Come up. 6
Again, 8 Vulcan B-2s participated, split again into 2 flights. One attacking on the northern route from RAF Lossiemouth in Scotland via Canada, and the other 4 aircraft on a southerly route from Kindley Air Force Base, Bermuda. The B-47 Stratojets simulated low-level Soviet bombers. The B-52s would attack between 35,000 and 42,000 feet, while the Vulcans again operated at the highest altitude, 56,000 feet.
I believe those B-52s are the really big ones, and boy, those things rumble. I mean, that's they live close to the airport and they fly so low, and I remember the house shaking when those things go by. There are cracks in the house after that. It's a scary sound, man, because usually the island is quiet, you know what I mean? But then, those things are huge, man. Not a fan of all that military stuff.
NORAD, or North American Air Defense Bunker at Colorado Springs, the US top brass was joined by the RAF's Air Marshal Sir Kenneth Cross of Bomber Command and Sir Wallace Kyle, chief of the RAF Technical Training Command, to monitor the exercise. Just before 2 p.m., US interceptors pounced on the B-52s, approaching at the mid to high altitude level. The Vulcans also came in from the north, and again, due to the Vulcans' high-tech jamming equipment, only one was shot down by an F-101 Voodoo fighter. In fact, large numbers of US fighters were scrambled, but they concentrated almost exclusively on the B-52s. When the Vulcans came over, the interceptors did not have sufficient fuel remaining to climb to 56,000 feet plus and engage them. The surviving 3 Vulcans conducted their attack successfully, turned around and landed at Stephenville, Newfoundland. The southern attack force of 4 Vulcans from Bermuda reached a position 50 miles off the US coast before fighters were scrambled to intercept. Again, 3 of the Vulcans unleashed an electronic jamming screen that kept the attacking F-102 Delta daggers busy, while the 4th aircraft crept round to the north and sneaked through. This Vulcan proceeded to land at Plattsburgh Air Force Base in New York. If this had been a real attack, New York City could have been reduced to a smoking, irradiated hole in the ground.
Wow. Wow.
Many of the stratojets and stratofortresses had also managed to evade interception and launched simulated nuclear attacks, but not at the kind of success rate that the Vulcans enjoyed. In 2 massive exercises, of 8 Vulcans that attacked on each occasion, 7 had got through to their targets, an astounding survival rate against the huge might of the US air defenses. The Vulcans showed that with the right aircraft, America could be laid wide open to a nation-ending assault, something which the Soviet Union would have been very interested in. Fortunately for all concerned, the relationship between Britain and the United States never changed from special to decidedly antagonistic, and the Vulcans never came in anger. The American government also tried to make damn sure that nobody ever found out about the Vulcans nuking American cities. The US Air Force was very quick to deny rumors that RAF planes had once again successfully penetrated US airspace. In fact, the US government went so far as to classify all references to Vulcans included in the Sky Shield exercises. After all, if the RAF could practice nuke New York City, Washington, D.C., and even Chicago, the Soviets could do the same, if they could develop an aircraft as good as the Vulcan. As far as Strategic Air Command was concerned, the Vulcan episodes had never happened, and the US was well protected, and that protection, as I said, 99% effective. The Vulcans' successful attacks on America were only fully declassified in 1997, long after the Vulcan had left British service. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also...
That's crazy. See, on the island, we heard about the British Navy a lot, because there used to be a lot of British Navy ships like in the late 60s, early 70s. They didn't come much in the 80s that I remember. But especially in the 70s, there was a lot of British Navy ships docking on there. Man, they used to come ashore and there were some party fellas, boy. I'm telling you, or should I say party lads? I'm gonna leave a link in the description, and as always, I always leave the link to the video that I'm watching in the description, so you all could go to those channels and check those what else they have there. So please go in there and check out those channels and stuff that I've watched here. You know, give them some love and thing, you know, like they say. But it's just quite interesting. Quite interesting, y'all, man. I hope you guys are staying safe with everything that's going on, you know, and I'm talking about with the pandemic and stuff like that. I hope you guys are staying safe. Hope your families are safe. And I hope you take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings.